Hello and welcome back to the Beardworks podcast for episode number 38. Nick, how are you, man?
Good, man. Defrosting's freezing.
No joke. I'm on night shift at the moment, and Monday it was like the coldest temperature record in Renmark, close to us. It was like -5, and I was walking around at midnight, probably like 3 a.m, and it was like -3 at that time. It was freezing. And the guy I was working with, he's wearing bloody shorts.
Yeah, my mate came over today and he was in shorts. He's a maniac.
Anyways, well, obviously with this cold weather and this wet weather, we've actually had a bit of time to sit in and watch some movies and some TV shows, and that's what the focus of today's episode is going to be. So we're looking at a movie that recently released on Netflix by Zack Snyder, and it was, probably promoted fairly well. A bit of hype around it, and obviously coming straight to a streaming service like Netflix always gives it a bit of a boost. So let's talk about Army of the Dead. So zombie heist movie, I guess you call it.
Yeah, Mission Impossible in Zombie Town.
Yeah, I have to admit it was okay. I know we spoke about this just before the recording. You said that you didn't mind it. I was a bit more skeptical. I know there were scenes when I was literally falling asleep. It was just it was a dragged out movie, I found.
I just had not watched one trailer or saw much of the advertising, so it was just fresh. I thought it was all right. Just Batista going sick.
Yeah, I guess obviously there's going to be massive spoilers in this, so everyone that's listening, you've been warned. I found that obviously the zombies at the beginning were more zombies, and then as the movie progressed, they weren't really zombies anymore. They had a bit of a mind of their own and stuff like that, which obviously hints at Army of the Dead, I guess, because they're not just like brainless kind of zombies. But I didn't mind that beginning with the transporting the cargo and stuff, except for that major zombie at that time. The way he was CGI, it just wasn't good.
Yeah, I think the close-up shots it was makeup, but when he was running around in the background, it was definitely CG. But
like there was that when he was fighting the soldiers, like at the very beginning when he breaks out, it was so clunky. Like,
yeah, it's probably because it was hand animated, not motion captured, so it's never going to be as smooth as like an actual person in a motion capture space.
Yeah,
getting real movements.
But in saying that, it was okay. Like that's okay to start the film. I get that. Obviously, then we skip forward a few years, do we? I think.
Yeah, it's something.
It's not too far, but they've obviously cordoned off Vegas now with shipping containers, which is a pretty smart idea. I'm just so surprised they got that many containers down in before it spread. I guess I
guess it would have been a worldwide effort.
Yeah. So yeah, that was really interesting, and obviously the whole premise behind the film is that there's a whole lot of cash underneath a casino that's still sitting there, and the owner or the person that's cash he's already been reimbursed by the bank. So it's like he's got doubled up cash pretty much if he can get to it. So he recruits Dave Batista to
and then promises him 50 mil to make a team to get in there and get it done. It's funny though when he's recruiting, every person he goes to, they each are getting offered less and less money as it goes on. The end dude's getting like 10 grand.
Yeah, that guy that they recruit at the very end, the security guard, like, oh, we'll give you 20 grand. He's like, hell yeah, I'll go. It's like, they got $50 million to work with.
They cap him and sacrifice him straight away.
But that's the thing I couldn't understand is that, they were told how much they were going to earn from this, but yet they go to a bank to steal all this money. They're like, why are we stealing this money for and not taking it for ourselves, if you know what I mean?
Yeah, who knows, man.
Obviously, they recruit a team, and then there's obviously a bit of a backstory with Dave Batista and his daughter, and that, she wants to get in now because she needs to save this mother of these children that she's
the worst character in the movie. She's a dumb shit.
The daughter, yeah, is bad, but this is the part that obviously gets to the very end as well. Like, finding that mother literally cost them the entire team. Like, this is the part I didn't understand. Like, so the action scenes were cool and stuff like that, and there were some action scenes. It wasn't as action packed as I thought it would be. I was thinking more like World War Z. Shit tons of zombies running at them, and they just like using machine guns and mowing them down. There was that one stage, but by then, the majority of the team's dead.
Yeah, they split up the zombies a lot. There's like the shamblers, they call them, and then there's like the army, which are the alphas. Yeah. But they say in it like the alpha zombie, the one that's from the military crate at the start, whoever he bites becomes like a sprinter, and whoever the sprinters bite, they become the shit munchers. Yeah,
pretty much. He gives the ones that he bites obviously become like the generals of his army. Technically, nearly they're they're a bit different. And obviously, he has. It's so strange because he has this wife. Obviously, the head zombie has this pretty much his queen, but the queen goes out and like meets some like the newcomers that come in from outside. Like, so I was like, well, if she's so important, why are you putting her on the front lines? Not so much on the front lines, but I guess
maybe it's like lions because they send the queen out hunting and shit. So I don't know.
either way, there's some cool scenes. They eventually get to the casino after a few mishaps and stuff like that. They find the helicopter, so the helicopter pilot's off fixing that. Then they're on the underground, they somehow turn the power on with no zombies noticing. In saying that, the one scene I did like though is then they bring in that the guy goes with them, not the security guard, but the guy that's working for the guy who recruited the team,
the military dog,
pretty much, and he sacrifices that chick.
Oh yeah, he's a prick.
But that's the thing is that one scene itself is absolutely amazing because like she has never killed a zombie before or a shambler, whatever you want to call them, and then she just goes absolutely ham in this like literally ham classic in a kitchen.
She reminds me of the Mexican chick from Aliens.
Yeah.
Tough nut, just going nuts with a bandana on.
But that's the thing that action's like obviously so what happens is they're trying to sneak through all these shamblers, or they're all sleeping, or they're still all like not moving at all, and they're sneaking through. So they're dropping glow sticks to. This is for people that are listening. They're dropping glow sticks to maneuver
create
through.
A path.
Yeah, create a path.
Like they're sneaking through all these zombies that are asleep, standing up, and they're like crawling and just going past them, following the glow sticks. But then he like throws one of the glow sticks off the path, so she follows it because she's behind him. Like
she's the last one.
Meters. Yeah.
So like obviously he's just trying to pick him off,
and she gets bitched.
But yeah, she does so well. Like she fights off so many, and then like he goes, "Oh, I think she's dead," and then she comes flying through the window and like takes on a bunch more of them, and you're like, and then like
they could have saved her if they all ran back for 1 minute and just shot the 10 that were around her.
Exactly, like they just let her sit there, and they're like, "Oh, forget it, she's gone," even though like she just battled through an entire army through the kitchen. Like, what a joke. Anyways, she gets killed off. She blows herself up. Well, no, she gets shot from the canister from those guys. Apparently, like John Wick's shooters. Anyways, so they get to the casino. They clear out what they can, and they get downstairs and they break into the bank, and then they have to break into the vault, which is like a whole nother thing itself. But yeah, it's just like accumulation of like just that part from where they get there until they unlock the vault is just so. I'm falling asleep. Like, even though they do capture the queen, like cut off her head.
I think it's good. It just suffered from shit editor.
Yeah.
It's cut together poorly.
Well, it's a 2 hour and 20 zombie film.
Yeah.
Like, and it's not meant to take itself too seriously. And so that's what I mean. Like, Zack Snyder, like, I don't know. There's something about him. I don't know what it is now, but it's just, there's the big hype and the name around him. It's just not enough anymore. Obviously, the whole, Snyderverse with the release of the Snyder Cut, I think maybe it's got a bit to his head. I don't know. But
yeah, we did have a podcast about that, but then our recording went to shit, so it'll happen eventually.
Oh, yeah, we actually haven't really done that one yet. But anyways, we'll talk about... so obviously we get to that point, and then they find out that, well, the head zombie finds out his queen's been taken, or her head's gone anyway. And there's a whole there's just so much backstory. There's so much other stories going on at the same time, like the plot. There's so many other plots going on. The main premise is they're trying to get the money. The bad guy who's hired the military guy, well, who's gone in with the group, he's got a head because he's going to use it as a bioweapon, technically, to make an army that they can control with, I don't know. Point is that they get attacked. The army did come for him. And you're like, okay, here we go. And literally, Batista's like love interest gets a head twisted.
Oh yeah, that was a crazy scene. The elevator opens, head grab, twist.
I was so surprised because like they are still zombies technically, so why wouldn't it just like bite the crap out of her? No, it just breaks her neck. It's like,
yeah, they probably got orders from the Alpha, just kill them.
So obviously they get attacked. Batista goes ham after that for a while, and there's two guys that still get stuck, which I like their chemistry. I forget their names. But the guy that breaks into the vault and the other guy that's sort of like the military presence kind of guy.
His name's the safecracker is like called Gita or something like that.
Yeah.
He's the coolest character.
Yeah. And so pretty much from then on, you just see all this kind of stuff. There's big fight scenes break out. They escape. Some of them try to escape. And it's just like they're just hoarding in there like crazy. And then, that guy fights one-on-one, not Batista, but the other army guy. Well, the guy that...
Oh, yeah. He looks like Mother's Milk from The Boys.
Pretty much, yeah. And he goes on to fight the head zombie. And loses, but then he gets thrown into a vault, and then
you never see Gita die.
You never see Gita die, but you assume they get wasted.
Yeah.
And so the team's getting picked off one by one, and then they get there and they realize that his daughter's not with them, and you're like,
and as this is all going on, there's a nuke coming. Like,
oh yeah, I forgot about that. There's so much plot happening at once. So yeah, the nuke's on its way. And they literally like say, "Oh, where's your daughter?" And they're like, "Oh, she went to save so and so." It's like, "Oh, where do you reckon it'll be?" They're like, "Oh, it'll be at his, establishment, whatever it's
The
called,
Olympus.
the Olympus." So pretty much they fly there in the helicopter, and they're like, "Oh, they got 7 minutes until it hits." And it's like that would not be 7 minutes. Like from the point that he lands on the roof, has like shoots that bloody grenade launcher, saves his daughter and that woman. That's definitely more than 7 minutes.
It's like a 20-minute sequence.
Like it's like a Dragon Ball Z fight, pretty much, like Frieza versus Goku, that kind of situation where it's a 5 minutes before Namek explodes, but yet it's like 7 episodes.
15, yeah.
But this is the one thing. This is the gripe I had. So at the end, they're flying away. The nuke goes off. The helicopter crash. Obviously, the alpha zombie chases them. There's a bit of a fight scene breaks out with him and Dave Bautista. Bautista gets bitten. Helicopter crashes. Obviously, alpha zombie got shot in the head in the process. The pilot got shot as well, and then she crashed and she died. So then Bautista's, we know what's happening in the end. Like, he's been bitten.
Yeah, you got to get capped.
And so his daughter's in the point of the gun, and she goes, she can't do it, and then he dies and starts to resurrect, and she shoots him. This whole shit that happened was due to the fact that the daughter went to save the mum, and the mother's, there's no body or anything. They don't even go back to that part of the story.
Yeah, and you know what's stupid? Because their mum is on that helicopter with them. They save her.
Yeah, but then she's not seen after the crash.
Yeah, but when they fly over the wall as the nuke's going off, there's people in the camp. That's where her kids are. Her kids are dead.
If they haven't been evacuated, yeah.
But there's people in the camp. It was evacuated. There'd be no one. So they're all there still. You have to assume they're there.
I was just like, okay, I didn't even worry about that part. I was just worried, like, what's the point of going to save this mother and then not even seeing her, and then like they don't even go back. Like she shoots her dad, and then she's just like, end of the story. I'm gonna walk away now. And you're like,
with
no money. As you know, he had that bit of money in his pocket still.
Oh yeah, what, 10 grand probably,
something like that.
Grand.
Start a little sandwich shop for me, honey.
Yeah.
But yes, I'm like, okay. The whole point of the story, this part of it, was to save their mother, and now they're not even going to go back to her. Like, I think Zack Snyder just forgot. He's like, hang on a minute, there was more people in that helicopter, and he's sitting there at the screening going, oh shit.
That's what I'm saying. This movie's good. It just suffered from editing.
So that's the thing. Like, and obviously they've built up for a sequel because the guy that Mother's Milk, we'll just call him that because we don't know his name. He comes out after a nuclear explosion. He just climbs.
No
out.
way a bank vault is nuke proof. That's impossible.
But even him going out there, wouldn't that just be like radiation?
Yeah, look.
And he's walking with all that cash, and then he gets on the plane, acting like everything's all cool. He doesn't look too flash. Looks in the mirror. I've been bitten. And he's like, oh well.
And then you hear like the intercom from
yeah.
the plane. Oh, about to land in Mexico City. So that's where the next one will be set, if there is a next one.
I just don't understand. Like I thought there's gonna be something more to this film than what it was. Zack Snyder directed that Dawn of the Dead. Like,
yeah, Dawn of the Dead's really good.
Like the 2004 one, I think it was. And that was such a great film. Like, it was really grounded. I understand this wasn't meant to be a grounded film, but like the action scenes, the one major action scene that I enjoyed, which was the one with that Mexican chick or Spanish chick, I forget her name. She was fighting off all those zombies in the kitchen, and then even the one when they're running off and they're running in the casino and it's like slow mo and stuff like that. Like, that wasn't too bad, but yeah, just so much was, I don't know.
I like that stealth scene when she's like just starting to get discovered by the zombies, and everyone that makes a slight noise, she just like shanks in the head, and like it's really stealth.
It's like the Walking Dead style, really.
Yeah,
like just
except better than the Walking Dead.
So yeah, I mean, overall, I was a bit let down by it, and I did say I did fall asleep a couple of times watching it, like because it's such a long film, and it felt like there's so much stuff they could have cut out.
I feel like it should have been shorter, but it needed to be 3 hours to explain everything.
That's what I mean. They had too much plot. Like, the storyboard must have been like, what? I don't even want to see what I could imagine it would be like.
I think it's still a good movie. It's just a weird zombie movie.
Yeah, well, I literally watched Shaun of the Dead not long, like last week before, and I'm like, okay, Shaun of the Dead is better.
Shaun of the Dead's the best zombie movie ever made.
But yeah, so that was, Army of the Dead. So obviously there's going to be a sequel. They can't use Bautista because he's dead. So I think he just may ask to be written out of the story. I don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was cool, I guess. I would, it could only go straight to streaming. Like, I don't think it can go to cinemas.
Yeah, it would have got shit in the cinemas. Like, it even got ripped apart in the reviews already, just on Netflix. And
the thing is, it's like, it's been watched in 72 million households. Yeah, because it's free,
and there's nothing else on.
And there's nothing else on. So it's okay to say that because like there's heaps of free stuff. In saying that, I think Jujutsu Kaisen is actually coming to Netflix as well. So
Oh, really? I want to watch that.
yeah, so I think it'll be by the time it gets to Netflix, it'll be all English dubbed by then. So you'll be in for a treat. But yeah, so going from that was a bit lackluster. We will go to something that was absolutely a boss and killer final season from Netflix's anime Castlevania series.
Yep, unreal. This is actually something you should watch.
Oh, 100%. Like obviously we're fans of anime and stuff like that, and Netflix are doing their own thing, which is working well.
It's a mix of anime and Western style cartoons.
Yeah, like
Like,
it's sort of like what they did with Blood of Zeus. Well, obviously Blood of
yep,
Zeus was made after Castlevania, so obviously they're taken from that. But Castlevania has done so well because I think it's one of the best video game adaptations ever.
yep. Or X-Men Origin Wolverine, the 360 game.
Oh,
That's the best movie adaptation ever.
or game adaptation.
Yeah.
The movie wasn't that flash, but
No.
but
Yeah, Castlevania.
Castlevania, yeah. So obviously we're going to talk complete spoilers here because majority of the season is good, and they obviously spent season 3 building up to what happened in this season, which I didn't mind season 3. The final battle was sick.
Season 3 is the worst season, easily.
Yeah, out of the 4, definitely. But I didn't mind it because it was a change of pace, and stuff like that. So obviously we kick off not many weeks after season 3 of in the world of Castlevania, which is good because you see where and Cypher and Trevor just like running amok. Well, not running amok. They're just working their guts out, pretty much not taking any downtime, just fighting, as much as they can and trying to stop Dracula from being resurrected.
Yeah, so it's kicking off with Cypher and that, just going to doing. It's like, it reminded me of Supernatural.
Yeah, that's fair.
Going around just doing contracts, just like killing everything, and yeah, it was killer. I'm not really the biggest fan of what's the black guy called, the
Isaac.
necromancer. Yeah, his arc wasn't my favorite. Could have left him, but
What I found with Isaac is that he was more of a philosopher kind of the guy by the end of this, and you thought that he was going to take revenge on Hector, which he didn't. He just said like that's petty, we need to be better. And so I didn't that whole like that's a mid-season. If you were talking about it for full season, that'd be the mid-season finale, pretty much that final battle with Camilla. That was epic.
Yeah, Camilla was a sick fight.
She was just
that
like
sword she had.
She was just unleashing on everyone. And honestly, like when it comes down to it, like her final, last little bit, when she sacrifices herself and rather than giving Isaac the glory of killing her, she just wipes herself out off the face of the bloody planet.
Yeah, I think Castlevania needed more crazy vampire fights like that.
Yeah, well, obviously, it's a tough one because obviously Dracula was overpowered, but there are other vampires. But this was very secluded on our characters because they wanted to wrap up the story, of course. Obviously, you see Hector cut off his finger to like lose that Lenore's power over him, which is kind of cool. And Lenore sort of like backs right down Hector, and then Isaac just goes nuts and kills Camilla, or Camilla kills herself, and then so that's the end of that story, which it sort of ties up most of them until the very final episode with Lenore and Hector. But then we sort of catch up, and you see that Trevor and Cypher have gone back to the original where what's it called? Forget the city what it's called, where it happened in season 1. But anyways, where Dracula pretty much like destroyed the whole city.
Yeah, it's where the first church like burnt his wife.
Yeah, so they go back there to try and figure out what's going on, and they meet 2 vampire guys that have been around for a long time, and one of them is quite powerful. He's just like a beast, a warlord.
The dumb shit Russian ones.
Yeah. And so that little story there where they meet some people, that's just a build up. That's like a bridging part to what we catch up into in the last 2 episodes. And obviously at the same time, Alucard has been sent a messenger to save this town. And so he's just like, oh, I better go help him. Arrives just in time, and then he pretty much takes in the entire town, which we see Saint Germain come back from the Infinite Corridor. We saw him at the end of season 3, so he's at this town as well. And yeah, they pretty much all go back to Dracula's castle, where Alucard is now residing, and pretty much getting ready for like one final battle against these forces of the night that are that are part of the plan that you don't really know the plan, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, Alucard's easily my favorite character in Castlevania.
He's had some good fights, man.
He's just so powerful. Like, what about even when he's playing with the kids? He jumps off the tallest bit of the castle and just lands in front of them.
Yeah, no, his fight scenes are so awesome because he's using the sword and shield now, which obviously we saw the sword in the last few seasons, obviously. But yeah, no, it was just a really cool fight scenes with him, and then obviously it all comes together in a nice bow when you know they use the mirror to transport through to get to where Alucard is at the castle, and you find out that Saint Germain is actually working not with the forces of darkness, but more like he wants to see his loved one, and this is the best way he can get around it.
Yeah, he's not evil, but he's doing evil things.
And so, like the idea is to bring back Dracula and his wife back into like some kind of I don't know.
What they call that, the perfect hermaphrodite
Yeah,
thing, like some conduit shit for death, or it was some weird Frankenstein monster.
yeah.
But then it turns out death's just kicking off, and
Well, that's the thing. So we find out that this character, this is it Lenny? I don't know. I forget the vampire's name. He's like the one from London. Um, he is actually a shapeshifter sort of kind of thing. He transforms into the woman that Saint Germain saw in the Infinite Corridor that sort of gave him the key to be able to unlock it, and then he transforms again and turns into not so much the Grim Reaper itself, but death of like a different kind of version of death, pretty much.
yeah, it's this big giant skeleton thing.
So yeah, you find out that he's behind this whole thing, and he actually feeds off at the very last breath of every human being once they die. And so, like, obviously, Dracula was killing a lot of people, and so since he's passed, since he died, they he's not getting that kind of energy, that power anymore. So the whole idea is to bring back Dracula. Dracula goes on a massive rampage, wipes out all of humanity, and this version of death like becomes all powerful. So we get that little bits and pieces why they're trying to bring Dracula back. But then, so Alucard is literally he's boarded the gates at the front of his castle because the dark forces of darkness like are breaking in, and it's a cool scene because like it reminds me of Helm's Deep kind of thing, you know,
Yeah,
just a ton of monsters coming in, and it's just like the very few fighting on. Obviously, Alucard's an absolute beast, so he can take them on, but even he's getting pushed back, and that's when Cypher and Trevor come through the portal just in the nick of time, and it's just like the three amigos are back together again, and they just wreak hell.
yeah, that's a sick fight scene. They just because Trevor's got that new like spin knife.
Yeah, which
He's got that's like his up close weapon, and then he's got Morningstar's like the big one.
that's the cool part is like they fight so well together, and Cypher is just OP as hell. Like she is just so powerful, and she has all these like she obviously has lightning, ice, fire, water. It's just crazy. Like obviously we've seen her abilities over time, but this is like the peak of her abilities at the moment. She's just like she can literally go off on her own and defeat anybody, pretty much.
She's like an air and ice and firebender.
And she has, and there's no limit. Like you know how they have like mana and stuff like that. It feels like she's just unlimited powers, like unlimited
Yeah,
power.
she's definitely gotten stronger since like going out with Trevor because she's fighting that much.
So we obviously see that like these guys fight together, and then they break off to clear out the castle of the rest of them, and then they gather up at the very end, and they go, "All right, we need to go find out what's going on," because they didn't know it's Saint Germain up there yet. But Alucard is like, "Yep, there's a crazy man upstairs. When you go stop him, he's trying to resurrect something." And they get there and they have to fight these like these vampires are kind of cool because they all had their own special ability kind of thing. Like had the skulls, the poison, the main strong guy, the webbing kind of thing. So like they go into this thing and they had to fight these four generals kind of thing, and that was a cool battle because they're pretty much all on the ropes.
Yeah, every fight though got dwarfed by the final Death and Trevor fight.
Well, that's the thing. We obviously see their Dracula and his wife come back into the world. Their spirits come back into this body, and you can tell that they're trying to fight over the possession of the body. Like it can't be controlled, and then pretty much Saint Germain like says, you know, Trevor, make yourself useful. Eventually, when they break through the barrier, and that's so cool. Trevor runs in, and he throws the holy water, and then throws the spinning knife thing, and it just cuts straight through it, like and then like lights up like lightning, and just like cuts the bloody body in half.
Yeah, Trevor, he's just that skilled. He just done this.
And that was just awesome, that action where just massive explosion. And then you sort of have a feeling on what's coming up because Trevor goes across and sees Cypher and Alucard on the like a ledge below them. And he's just like, "Oh, I love you," and stuff like that. And stuff. She goes, "I know." And he goes, and like saying Trefor is a terrible name because like he knows that she's pregnant. And she's like, and then all of a sudden they have to back off because it's starting to crumble. And then you see Trevor turns around and he says that sick ass walk towards death.
He's literally fighting death solo.
And it looks like and it's an awesome boss battle because like that point when he gets there and he's standing in front of him, he pulls out the Morningstar and then just does the old, you know, stance, and it zooms back out and it shows like the scale of him to death. And it's just like,
and that movie does where he like shoots Morningstar up in the sky. It's like a big fire thing.
oh, it's just sick. So like obviously there's a massive fight scene where pretty much Trevor's just like not doing any damage to Death. It's just probably like an annoyance, a bit of a flick to the head all the time, and he's getting annoyed. So Trevor's getting shoved around a bit, gets his arm busted up, and you're like, how's he going to do this? Pretty much, looks like he's on the verge of death, and then he does the old, he fakes that he's fallen over, and then does the old, the sick music cuts up, and he just stands up, dodges the attack, and then he just unleashes, like you said, like the Morning Star's full potential, and it's just like absolutely annihilating him. Then he drops it, and you're like, what's happening here? And obviously, from the past episodes, you've seen him collecting the stuff in this treasure room where they fought the vampires prior to coming through the portal. And he's picked up all these little bits and pieces, and you find out that it's actually an ancient weapon that was given to a man by a god after he made a deal or something like that. And it's just like he just had a massive massacre with it.
Yeah, dude. I can't remember if that's in Castlevania games. I feel like that's something from the games, but
that blade is so sick because like he literally has to put it together with one arm, put like a stone in it, like a little chalice thing, and then all of a sudden just lights up like a bloody. Oh, it looks so sick. I was like, here we go.
Yeah, dude. Trevor's like the winner of 2021 already.
And then he pretty much just kills Death, and so and we assume that Trevor gets killed, which I think would be the better version. In saying that,
nah, I like happy endings
because I was like, he did sacrifice himself, and obviously this was like the penultimate. How do you say it? Penultimate? Yeah,
penultimate.
That's I can't even say. I can't even speak English. Episode. So we find out in the final episode that Trevor survived because Saint Germain opened up the corridor. White in the last few seconds sent him through. So it's all happy ending pretty much. Cypher and Alucard and Alucard's new missus that we didn't even talk about because she was just the leader of the town. Which she's a bit of a badass in her own right. They sort of like they create a town. Alucard creates a town called Belmont now around the castle.
Because at this point, Cypher and that they're all sad that Trevor's dead, but they don't really realize he's just been in like the infinite corridor for 2 weeks healing.
Yeah,
and then he's back, and then he shows up, and then Cypher's pissed off at him. You didn't come back earlier.
Yeah, and I love it how he's like, she goes, "Can someone please come here and kill this man for me?" And then he's just like, "Oh, we're gonna need to call it. What are you gonna call this town?" He goes, "Oh, Trefor." And he goes, "Can someone come in and kill me?" Like that's such a classic. Like the banter between them is so good, and the voice acting is on point. Like it was just such a really good series. And like I don't know much about the Castlevania games that much,
Me either.
But I know a fair bit about the lore now because I've done a bit of research. And so like obviously Trevor was the very first Belmont to kill Dracula. Well, with Alucard. But the thing is, he's not that famous due to the fact that most of the games take place after that first death of Dracula. All the other games from then on, all his ancestors pretty much, or his younger.
What's those? They were on 360 and PS3. It was like Castlevania,
Lords of Shadow.
Is that the one where you play as Alucard?
No, he plays Dracula, and then I think there's one where you do play as Trevor Belmont up to a point, and then you play as Hector. You take over as Hector, and you have to kill Isaac. So. Anyways, obviously this is a different story line. There's bits and pieces they've taken from Lords of Shadow, also from Symphony of the Night, which is more Alucard stuff. But the overall story is that Trevor Belmont was the main guy that was part of the killing Dracula in the first incarnation of Castlevania, and then it was his lineage after that they kept coming back because obviously the whole idea is that Dracula keeps returning after every 100 years, and so there always has to be a Belmont alive to defeat him.
Who is the Belmonts that are in like the Smash Brothers games? Like, is that Richter Belmont?
He's like a long way down the track. He's apparently pretty boss. There are, I guess, to a point where they're like Street Fighter kind of characters. But so obviously there's Trevor Belmont's like the OG. There's one before him, there must be a few before him. Sorry, but
because his family's famous, like everyone knows Belmont.
Yeah, and so obviously. I just love Trevor as a character. I think he's really good. Cypher's awesome. Alucard's awesome. Dracula was awesome when he was alive. Most of the characters are really good. There's only like season 3 where they had that town that was infected. There was a few characters.
That was a shit arc.
So overall, it's just a really good series. And there is a spin-off series being made, which I'm not sure what that's going to feature. I'm sort of hoping it's going to be like some more Belmont kind of stuff, like hunting. That'd be kind of cool because I just love the idea of the Belmonts, their weapons in the Morning Star. That's so sick.
Yeah, and like we're saying this whole, like we're talking about like it's a massive series. It's only like the first season's 4 episodes, second's 6. Like the whole entire thing, it's tiny.
It's tiny. And it's definitely worth a watch. Like and the thing is, the animation, especially in these last few episodes, well, actually, the final, the second and third to last episodes of season 4, the animation is like top tier stuff. Like, and it's in their own style as well.
Yeah, they definitely had the budget.
So yeah, if you got time, definitely watch Castlevania. Obviously, if you,
it's only a couple week job if you do an episode here and there. It'll take you a couple weeks.
Yeah, for sure, and it's definitely worth the watch. But yeah, I mean, Netflix have come out with some really good stuff. Love, Death and Robots season 2 or volume 2 has been out now for a while.
Haven't watched that yet.
I have. It's not. I don't think it's as good as. It's got some good stuff in it. Some good action scenes. But yeah, overall, like, I think Netflix is doing a good job. Obviously, like I said, Jujutsu Kaisen's coming on Netflix soon, which is a great pickup by them. They've had Demon Slayer for a while now, which is obviously awesome. They're getting One Piece. They've got One Piece on there now. Not all.
They're already up to like the 120 episodes or something.
Yeah. So they still got like 800 to go.
Yeah, and counting.
So yeah, like Netflix is doing really good. Obviously, other streaming services are doing well as well. I watched Without Remorse, the Tom Clancy's movie on Amazon.
I heard it's average.
It's not too bad. It's just set up for the next movie, which will be Rainbow Six, which will be kind of cool.
Really, damn.
Michael B. Jordan's good in it. Just an absolute monster. But yeah, obviously, what are you playing right now?
Mass Effect. I'm in number 2, halfway through number 2. Unreal, man.
Yeah, nice. I'm currently doing Returnal again. I'm up to the 3rd area now.
Have you done a complete run, like finished the game yet?
No, I'm up to the last area now, I believe. Okay. I'm just literally in a part now where, like, because you have to get your different stats up in different areas. I think I need to get up my resilience, well, not my resilience, but my protection in this one, because like literally takes 2 hits and you lose all your health.
Yeah, right.
So I'm sort of stuck in that. The thing is, I'm really enjoying it. The amount of times I've died, but I just love it. The gameplay is really good fun. Like, there's not heaps of different weapons, but there's enough. But it's just the transference, like the dodging and stuff like that. It's just really fast paced.
I feel like Returnal's a game where they could just do like DLC that adds areas you could like nominate whether you want them in your run or not.
Yeah. No, it's got. I've enjoyed it so far. I do get to a point where I'm getting a bit frustrated because I'm getting to these really like strong enemies and just getting wiped out with a couple of shots. Even though I'm dodging really well, it's just like tracking.
Yeah, it's like what was happening with Hades. I was getting pumped for so long, I could never get a good run, and then it'll just click, and then you'll just run through everything, get good runs.
Yeah, no, I'm keen to get playing that. Obviously, we're gonna play Resi 5 sometime soon.
Yep.
Ratchet and Clank comes out soon.
Next Friday's Ratchet.
Yeah, so there's plenty of stuff coming out in the next few months.
Do you pre-order Ratchet?
Oh, I'm probably gonna stick away from that for a little while.
Yeah.
Because I got Metro Exodus. I bought that, and I also bought Dying Light.
I bought Dying Light yesterday as well.
Yeah, so the platinum one, which is like at the moment it's like $34 or something like that.
And I just bought standard. I won't do the DLC.
Yeah.
But after that Dying Light True gameplay, I'm like, I've got to do the first one. That's it.
Yeah. No, it's good.
We can co-op Dying Light, you know.
Yeah, no, it's got co-op in it. So, but yeah, so obviously but we've got plenty of episodes up our sleeve at the moment, so we'll be releasing them shortly. But anyways, that's enough mumbling on. Any last words, Nick?
No, I'm going to get off and do homework.
Oh, awesome. Lucky you. I'm going to get off and play some Returnal.
Oh, yeah.
All right, take care, everyone.
Deuces.